Trillions upon trillions upon trillions of dollars sitting on the sidelines waiting to come into these markets. It's starting to trickle, but just a little. The wall of money is definitely on its way, though. Combine that along with the fact that inflation, it's here, it's happening, it's running rampant, ravaging the lives of people all over the world. And you start to realize that the Bitcoin infinite money glitch, it's a real thing. There is no top to Bitcoin. You have to understand that. And there's no top to Bitcoin because there's no bottom to fiat. I'll break that down for you in today's video. Also some big Reddit Ethereum news, which we'll talk about briefly in today's video. My name's Lark. Every day I make videos talking about cryptocurrency investing. So if that's a topic you'd like to learn some more about, maybe to stay up to date with, you should definitely subscribe to the Lark Davis channel. Also, we can take a quick second to tap on that thumbs up button for the YouTube algorithm. That'd be massively appreciated. And obviously, if you want to know when I put out a new video, you should click on that notification bell. Now, if you are a trader and you want to be trading cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Dogecoin, all of the top stuff, you need to get yourself an account over on Femex. You can long, you can short, you can play spot markets with 0% fees. Use the link down below in the description to start your Femex account. You're going to get 10% off of your trading fees and up to $1,200 in trading bonuses. Now, let's take a quick look at the charts here. I just want to briefly mention the Ethereum chart here. We're not going to spend much time on the Ethereum chart, but I just wanted to say Ethereum highest weekly candle close ever. Nice. Of course, our previous record was back here in May. We have a new record. Very, very exciting to see this new candle close coming in. Beautiful. I love it. Keeping it classy, Ethereum. Keeping it classy. Let's take a look at Bitcoin real quick. This weekly candle for Bitcoin has been pretty dramatic, I would say. I mean, let's just have a look at this here. Look at this bad boy. That is quite the weekly candle. We saw a lot of pressure here from sellers, actually, as Bitcoin creeped into a new all-time high. Sellers pushing the price of Bitcoin back down. In fact, they're able to get it back down from $67,000 all the way to just under $60,000. Now, as you can see, this is a key area of support right here at $62,000. We did close the body of the weekly candle under that area of support. So something to keep in mind for you there. Let's zoom into the daily here just to get a little bit of a closer picture. Now we can see we do have another key area of support right down here around $57,500. So depending, of course, on what happens over the next few days here, we could, of course, see a retest potentially happening of that level down here as well. We are seeing, of course, at this particular moment, Bitcoin is closing daily candles under the key resistance. We had a short breakout. The volume was pretty decent on it, to be fair. But then we had the sell-off, and Bitcoin currently trying to recapture that previous area of resistance. We did not manage to flip it into support at $62,000. Maybe we don't get a farther sell-off, but I'd, of course, be watching for $57,500 as our next key area of price support for Bitcoin. Of course, a breakout above 62K again would be an interesting time potentially to be going long on Bitcoin. Of course, assuming it's backed up by some decent volume. I am still expecting $100,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. A sell-off just after an all-time high hit like this, it's nothing to be surprised about. Remember, we talked about this the other day. Every time this has happened previously, you see what Bitcoin does. We get sell-offs. We get sell-offs coming in, right? So you can see all these examples here of when Bitcoin hit new all-time highs, we had sell-offs. Boom, new all-time high sell-off. Boom, new all-time high sell-off. Boom, new all-time high sell-off. New all-time high big sell-off. Of course, the current one is pretty mild by comparison. You have to understand Bitcoin will do 20 to 30% multi-week corrections during a bull market. So we're just having a little baby correction right now. Curious to see if we can hit some new all-time highs in the next week or so to close out the month. Of course, the monthly candle looking very beautiful at the moment. You know, it's you get pretty distracted sometimes with the daily price action. If you actually zoom out to the monthly, looking nice. Looking very, very nice right now. Next, let's talk about Reddit. Reddit is doing an NFT platform. So Reddit is now looking for a new senior backend engineer for its NFT platform, according to a report from Crypto Briefing. Now, Reddit, it is one of the biggest social media platforms out there. They are, of course, already using Ethereum. They're using Ethereum at layer 2 via Arbitrum, which is one of the biggest layer 2 scaling solutions right now for Ethereum. Basically, what Reddit has been doing so far is giving out community tokens. So you get an upvote and you get tokens, and people basically like been farming these tokens by just posting truckloads of memes and stuff to get upvotes, and then they get free tokens and they cash them out for money. And it's been a pretty interesting experiment into this creation of value for Reddit. But now they're taking it the next step. Now they're going to start offering NFTs. Think about that. One of the biggest social media platforms is getting into the NFT game. Of course they are. TikTok, of course, already announced they're getting in the NFT game. Facebook is now using Ethereum as well for stablecoin transfers. Probably will be using it in some capacity for their metaverse, although they have not announced that yet. And of course, Twitter now letting you have a verified Ethereum tick for your profile picture NFTs. So all pretty cool stuff. All these major social media platforms are getting into it because they're tech companies. They understand tech. They want to be part of the revolution that is happening in front of them. NFTs are a massive part of that. And I know, look, there's a lot of crazy crap in NFT world right now. A lot of it's going to go to zero. But that wild, messy phase, it's part of the growing pains that helps mature the entire NFT space. I love NFTs. I think they're super cool. And I think they're going to continue to just go crazy for years and years on end. Of course, again, many of those collections will trend to zero. The big collections will trend higher. But seeing how serious NFTs are being taken, very, very interesting times. Now let's talk about the Bitcoin infinite money glitch. That's why you're here. That's why you're watching this video. This one from Michael Saylor, he came out and said there are approximately 218,000 financial advisors in the United States. That's a lot of financial advisors, man. I just got to say. It's an overly popular job. Now, those people are managing assets in excess of $110 trillion. Now, they have Bitcoin ETFs. Those people can start allocating into Bitcoin. Of course, they're futures ETFs. Futures ETFs are garbage because they don't require actual Bitcoin to be bought up off the market. We want a spot Bitcoin ETF. Still, it is starting to meet the tiniest bit of the demand for actual Bitcoin products. I think the numbers really speak for themselves, what happened with the release of the Bitcoin ETFs, but $110 trillion. For reference, that's a lot of money. In case you didn't know, that's a lot of money. Now, what's interesting, of course, is that 1% of that $1.1 trillion, that's about, give or take, some tens of billions, the current market cap of Bitcoin. So essentially, if there was a 1%, 1 freaking percent allocation from all of these financial advisors, all these funds, and all this stuff into Bitcoin, just 1%, that would be a big, big situation because that's basically the current market cap of Bitcoin. And you're going to think, well, okay, $1.1 trillion, that just doubles the market cap of Bitcoin. Lark, that's not that big of a deal. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. You see, there's lots of factors you have to take into play here. One is that like 20 to 30% of the total supply of Bitcoin lost forever. Gone beneath the waves of time. So that Bitcoin's not going to get bought up. Then you have all the long-term hodlers, people who are literally not interested in selling their Bitcoin. They don't have to sell their Bitcoin. It's digital gold for them. It's a long-term wealth preservation asset. Those guys aren't selling their Bitcoin. So you start to realize that you have, let's say again, just 1% of this money, $1.1 trillion of money seeking Bitcoin. And there's only, 2.2 million Bitcoin currently on all centralized exchanges combined? Think about that. And then once that money starts coming in and actually buying the Bitcoin, and again, we're still talking about futures ETFs and they're garbage products. They don't actually have real demand for Bitcoin. We'll get a spot Bitcoin ETF that is coming, that is part of the picture. They will be approved. Hopefully futures ETFs are simply a gateway drug for the SEC to then approve a spot Bitcoin ETF, which would actually then take actual Bitcoin off of the market, bring it into the equity markets. 1% of that $110 trillion is going to send Bitcoin soaring beyond what you can imagine, because you're going to have $1.1 trillion trying to buy 2 million Bitcoin approximately. And what happens when those Bitcoins start being gobbled up? I mean, if somebody buys 500,000 Bitcoin, if all these funds cumulatively buy 500,000 Bitcoin, how high is the price going to go? I saw a statistic that was made by the Bank of America. It was earlier this year, mind you, but I'm sure the statistic's not that far off at this point. But it was basically that every Bitcoin needs $100 million of money inflows in order for it to move up 1%. So if you think of it in that situation, $100 million, right? So then $1 billion could move it up 10% of people buying spot Bitcoin, moving it from the markets. And then you start to extrapolate that out to $1.1 trillion, and you get a very, very large number. There's not enough Bitcoin for all these guys to get it at a reasonable price. This is how Bitcoin goes to 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, eventually $1 million, because all these funds are going to try to get a piece of it. You might say, well, come on, Lark, how are they really going to buy Bitcoin when it's worth $500,000? That's ridiculous, dude. Those same funds are buying gold at a same market cap that Bitcoin would have at $500,000 per coin. It's not that crazy. The higher the price goes, the more serious of an asset it becomes to these people, the more established and made it has become. Now that's just, of course, all of these fund managers and financial advisors. Then, of course, Michael Saylor shared this a few months ago. And this is just US. This is just the US. This is just the US. I would like to just underline that here. $6.84 trillion sitting in corporate cash accounts. Right? So all those corporations sitting on cash that's just melting away due to inflation. It's a lot of monetary risk. We've already had companies, obviously MicroStrategy, Tesla, getting into Bitcoin in a serious way. $6.84 trillion. Again, even 1% of that money is a pretty serious amount of money to enter into the market. It would send Bitcoin well over $100,000 if we saw just 1% of that corporate cash coming to Bitcoin. And what if we saw 4, 5, 10%, right? Tesla took more than 1%, right? I think they got 5% of their cash holdings into Bitcoin. Don't remember the number off the top of my head, but if we see these kind of allocations, again, exponential money rise for Bitcoin here, because it's an incredibly scarce asset with just crazy amounts of funny money available out there in the global economy to buy up this very scarce asset. Of course, we talked about this the other day with pension funds now entering the game. And this is, again, just U.S. pension funds. They have $8.6 trillion all across the OECD. That's $34 trillion. Now, if we start to talk about globally pension funds, globally corporate cash funds, globally institutional investment managers, we're talking about hundreds of trillions of dollars. Hundreds of trillions of dollars. Then we have savings accounts, tens of trillions more on top of that. All of that money, even 1% allocation from just one of these sources is enough to send the price, well beyond $100,000, and making the reality that $1 million Bitcoin, it's really not that crazy, man. It really, really isn't. All this money scrambling to get a very, very limited slice of the pie. And then, of course, we have inflation. I was told inflation was going to be transitory. Well, apparently inflation is not transitory. They said inflation's going to go down. They said inflation was only going to be 2%, then it was 5%. Now, Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, she's out there saying, well, it's going to end soon. But hey, wait a second. They were saying that last year, and the year before that, 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 and the year before that. It never ends. Inflation never ends. It just keeps getting worse. The central banks, they have no idea what they're doing. Or they do, and it's very malicious and evil what they're doing by destroying everyone's livelihoods, potentially. Or they just keep throwing money at the problems, because when everything is a nail and all they have is a hammer, well, that's what they do. That's what they do, right? Inflation just keeps going up. And it's not just the US. We've talked on this channel a lot about countries that have suffered from much more rapid rates of inflation. Look, 2, 3, 5% a year, that adds up really fast, and that's super destructive when you actually take it out to like 10 years. 10 years, it's not that long in your life. 10 years of inflation, catastrophically bad when you actually look at the real numbers behind it. It may not feel as dramatic every year, those, death by 1,000 cuts that inflation actually is. But you go to a place like Lebanon or Argentina or Nigeria or the Sudan or Turkey, and the long list of other countries. Inflation destroys lives, sometimes almost overnight, sometimes dramatically quickly within a year or 2 years or 3 years. You see everything just disappear. All your life savings gone. Bitcoin, 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 man. As long as fiat has no bottom, as long as the whole of inflation and money printing, central bank and political corruption has no bottom, and apparently it does not have any bottom, or the bottom is so deep we are not even close to reaching it yet, then the reality is that Bitcoin has no top. It has no top. Zoom out, look at the big picture, understand that this is a store of value asset. It is digital gold, and it's an asset that's in price discovery. The Bitcoin infinite money glitch, man, it's real. It's real. It's as real as October was. October, definitely real as well. Love that. October has been great. Anyway, your question for today. Do you think that Bitcoin can reach $1 million per coin by the end of the decade? Or is that just way too much hopium over here, Lark? Let me know down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching today's video, and peace out till next time.